What is going on, you wonderful people? I hope you're having an amazing day. Before we get into the video, make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It will really help. Now, with that being said, we have Jessie Lee Peterson going against some type of Black Lives Matter activist. I don't know exactly who she is. I just know that she is one of those people that says white privilege is this and all of this stuff. So let's get right into it.
Does white privilege exist?
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely.
And where's the proof of that?
All around. I tell people often now, in hindsight, one of the things that I wish I would have been more cognizant of was the white privilege at UCLA that was sitting, right next to me. For Black people, I believe white privilege is something to leverage.
What is it though? I don't see it anywhere. What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
I don't.
She said, what? White privilege doesn't exist. How don't you see it? How is that possible? She could not even fathom. Like, that literally just left her speechless. She cannot fathom that Jessie Lee Peterson, out of all people, said that white privilege does not exist. He said that white privilege does not exist. How does it exist? And if it does exist, show me. He said, what is all around us? All right, give us an exact example.
For people like me who don't see it.
How do you not see white privilege?
Because it doesn't exist. That's
yes,
what
it does.
So what is it exactly?
I believe white privilege is just the ability just to be free and white and not have the same type of social, economic, and social ills as Black people have to deal with. I mean, there's.
This is all bullshit. This is all intangible things. You have to give me something very specific as to give me an example. Like you said, give him an example. What is it? What is white privilege exactly? You have to actually give an example. You can't just say, oh, it's being free and white and being stress-free from socioeconomic status and all this stuff. You don't know all of that stuff. You don't know people's individual lives. Come on.
There's no white racial profiling. White people don't get pulled over by the cops just because they're white. They have the ability to, show emotion and love to their sons without being emasculated. There's all kind of examples of white privilege. Absolutely. Why don't you Black? How come you don't believe white privilege exists? What you see?
Well, because I am Black in color, but I don't have that dark mentality that most Black people have.
Clearly.
I see, she said clearly, I see that white people have the same struggles and things that we have in that.
What type of struggles
they have to
do they
make
have?
Their marriages work. They have to make their children, help their kids grow up in the right way so that they can earn a living and be independent.
But they also have the majority of their fathers at home.
Right, and the reason for that, it's starting to change somewhat now, but the reason for that is because they are taking responsibility for that, whereas Black men and women are not taking responsibility for that, as they did prior to the Civil Rights Movement. Black people are blaming it on their lack of self-control and self-containment. They're blaming it on white people, while white people are working hard to keep it going.
Wait, hold on, no. He's exactly right about that. They're basically distracting from the actual issue at hand, themselves, ourselves. Let me include myself in that, because I am a part of the Black community. I'm not a father because I'm very responsible, but I am a part of it. So let's say ourselves. We are not blaming ourselves for exactly what is happening at this point in time. The fatherless homes and all of this stuff. We're blaming the white man for this stuff. I see this stuff a lot. We're blaming the government for the degeneracy up in the music right now. Rap music, especially like the woman music. Oh my goodness, it is disgusting. Disgusting. But again, we're blaming the government for that stuff instead of ourselves. We have to get our own house in order before, other people, before you even think about other people. That's what I'm thinking.
I believe that there is a need for Black people to be held more accountable.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that doesn't excuse racism, that doesn't excuse institutionalized racism, that doesn't excuse...
But there's no such thing as that. It's an illusion made up by Black people and their leaders.
No, it's not. It exists.
Well,
sorry.
Where's the proof of it, though?
What do you mean, where's the proof of it?
There are many kids who are getting into, Black kids who are allowed to get into these universities around the country, right, based on affirmative action. And because of affirmative action based on their color. That's discrimination based on color, and that's wrong. And these kids are getting in, but they're not earning their way. So when they fail, they feel less than before they were allowed to get in based on color.
I'm a proud product of affirmative action. When I went to UCLA, it was because I was an affirmative action student.
I'm sorry to hear.
Wow. So it was because you were not good enough to get in that you got in. That's basically what she just said right there. Because affirmative action just helps people that are not good enough to get in, get in. because, you know, they claim that, oh, we don't have the opportunities. So since we don't have the opportunities, we don't have the education. Since we don't have the education, we're not smart enough to get in. But no, you just didn't work hard enough to get in. There was a lot of people that got in the same skin color as you, black, that were good enough to get in based on merit, not based off of some type of artificially created opportunity, you know, from the bureaucrats and all that stuff. That's ridiculous. Come on. She's a proud affirmative action person. Like, you know, student, that's weird.
And I think I turned out fantastic. So so a lot of my peers who were having challenges getting into some of these predominantly white institutions, the affirmative action was great. My father went to Harvard. You know, he was one of very few blacks.
Was he affirmative action person?
I don't know if he was. That was back in the late 60s.
Well, then he wasn't. He earned his way.
So.
Yeah, hold on. Wait, her own father earned his entire way to Harvard based on his merit. Why couldn't you do the same thing? Your father had it way harder than you. I know that for a fact, especially up in the 1960s, before Jim Crow era ended completely and all of that stuff. And the civil rights movement was just like, you know, getting all the way up there in terms of popularity. So he had it way harder than you. And he got in based off his own merit? You mean somebody from a black community, specifically a man, back then got in based on his own merit? That's amazing if you ask me.
That being said, I still believe that affirmative action helped me get into UCLA, and it gave me access.
You would
and
not
exposure.
have gotten in there on your own because you were not smart enough?
I don't know if I wasn't smart enough, but based on the curve and what I was competing with you know, other individuals who had different educational opportunities and teachers. I mean, I'm coming from.
Based on who I was competing against, I wasn't smart enough? Well, no stuff, Sherlock. Come on. Really? That's called simple competition, sweetheart. Welcome to the real world. That's what you need. You need to be tough. You need to be competitive to actually get into these schools and other positions of power, because it's competition around. It's just competition. As simple as that. That's what I'm saying. So you didn't get in based off of merit. You got in based off of a handout.
You know, the LA Unified School District. I mean, so at the time, I think LAUSD was still pretty good. But I went to all white schools from high school up
So you
through
got
college.
a good education. Why couldn't you get into the school based on your own talent?
I don't know. Maybe because I didn't have some of the opportunity.
But you had the opportunity.
No, first of all,
You had the same
SAT,
opportunity those white kids were having.
Not necessarily. I had different teachers. I had different
So you
resources.
went to a white integrated school.
I'm talking about
mostly
going
white.
into these other into UCLA. I still had to be able to deal with some of the issues and going to predominantly white schools.
Like
but
what?
I still had to be able to compete.
Like what?
What do you mean, like what?
Some of the issues going to a predominantly
I would graduate from University High School, and at the time they didn't have an African American student union.
What the hell is that? What is an African American student union? And why exactly do you need that in a predominantly white school if you're just there to learn? Is it to feel welcomed? Is it based off of feelings, basically? Is that what you're saying? You couldn't succeed because of your feelings? Which, you know, makes sense. She is a woman, and, you know, women tend to base their, you know, thoughts and their actions off of feelings, which is not necessarily a bad thing, especially for a woman, just natural. But still, is that why? Is that really why you couldn't flourish up in that school? Was it because of that?
An African American student union
At the school.
Well, that's a good thing.
They didn't have one.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Why?
Why do you need something like that?
Yeah.
But they have Asian student unions. They have Jewish student unions. They have all kinds of
cares?
different
They have
student
white
unions.
student
They
unions.
shouldn't have
They
those.
need student unions. They own the whole school. So
But the kids didn't own the school. The kids didn't.
But I'm
own it.
saying there's nothing. I don't think there's nothing wrong
It's
with having
amazing
a
that you think this way.
segregated, you know, population of students who just want to study together, or work together, or to be able to
Would you
deal
be in
with.
support of a white student union?
Yeah, of course.
It would be okay with you?
Yeah, why
Okay.
not?
But most blacks don't feel that way.
What's the point of it?
I think all cultures should be able to segregate and to be able to work within their culture.
Self-segregation? I mean, I guess to a certain extent that's okay, but like in schools, why? Just work together, learn actual communication skills with other ethnicities and groups of people. That's how you actually learn how to cooperate and get along with other groups of people that are different from you. It's usually in school when you get socialized.
And network within their own cultures. Absolutely.
That's
Does
weird.
racism exist?
I believe racism does exist.
And where's the
absolutely.
proof of that?
You just see it all over in the country. We're proof of it in terms of just
what do
the
I see?
disproportionate in the economics with black people.
But that has nothing to do with racism.
It does. Racism is about power. It's about who's in control. And black people can't be racist because we're not in control. We're not in control of the educational system, some of the social organizations.
This stupid definition of racism is really getting on my nerves. Racism only means being like wrong to a person based off of their skin color, being mean or being some type of I don't know, just being like aggressive towards a group of people because of their skin color. That's all racism was when I looked it up on Google. When I looked it up in a dictionary, that's all it was that. It had nothing to do with some type of structures of power or hierarchy or anything like that. It had everything to do with prejudice, which is a type of racism, which people like to differentiate on, which is weird. They try to make a distinction between racism and prejudice when in fact prejudice is a type of racism. So what are you saying? It all just goes together. If you do not like a person because of their skin color specifically, and that's it, that is racist.
And things that run this country, we're not in control. Racism is about power.
But you would be in
race is
control of your own life if you had good parents, if they taught you how to be independent, if they taught you how to build, how to take care of. I've noticed that the reason I left where I lived over there in the Crenshaw district is that once the white people left, because once I moved there, when I first moved there, it was mostly whites. But once they left, as they did in Gary, Indiana, and other places, the blacks turned it into a ghetto. A beautiful area went to hell in a handbasket, so I got out. But if blacks had more character and they were taking care of themselves and being responsible and buying land and teaching their children,
that has to be taught.
Then that has nothing to do with racism.
But that has to, of course, that has to be taught.
So it's not racist. It's not white people's fault that you're not teaching your children to do that.
No, but it's not. If the parents don't know.
They don't know. But that's not white people's fault, though.
But if they go into some of these institutions, these predominantly white institutions, they are targeted. They don't have the same opportunities because of their color.
What institution is that in this day and age? You know, I can see back in the day, you know, the redlining and all of this stuff, but what institution can you point to in this day and age that discriminates against people based off of their like ethnicity or race or skin color? I would like to know that institution, and I will boycott them with you if you give me specific examples of how their institution actually discriminated against people based off of their skin color and race. I would actually boycott that with you because that is wrong. If they're discriminating against white people, if they're discriminating against black people, if they're discriminating against Hispanic people, any type of people, that is wrong. I would like to know what the institution is, and if you can give an example of that, I would like it.
It's true. I mean,
then why go in there then? Why not go to all black school if you
some
feel
people
that?
do choose to do that.
I'm sorry?
Some people do choose. That's
you see a lot of these black kids going to these white universities, and then they force their way in by saying, I need affirmative action. Once they get in, now they crying racism. Why do you want to force your way in with the people you think are your enemies, and you're still complaining once you get there?
I don't think people are.
That is a great point. Wow, didn't even think about that. How do you say, oh, I'm so proud to be an affirmative action baby? Basically what you just said. I'm an affirmative action student and I'm proud of it. How can you say then that I wish I was privy to the white privilege of the people next to me while I was in school based off of my black privilege, my minority privilege specifically? Because I think you just have to be a minority, not just specifically black. But I do think it's, no, black. Because they don't really let Asians get in for like a lower standard, just black people, if I'm not mistaken, because of, you know why. So, yeah.
Forcing their way. Does affirmative action even exist?
Is forced based on color.
Does affirmative action even exist? Are people getting in based on affirmative action?
Yes.
Today?
Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
The way
you did. You literally got in based off of affirmative action. That was such a weird question to ask. Why did she ask that stupid question? What?
Trump has it down. He's just leveled the playing field. So it is going to have to be more about being able to be competitive.
Yeah, the video's over with. Yeah, the video's over with. So that was actually a very good video by, that was actually an amazing video by Jesse Lee Peterson. I don't know the exact name of the channel. The Asian Republican, that's the name of his channel. He posted this video. So yeah, that was an amazing video by Jesse Lee Peterson going against this, I'm just going to call her a Black Lives Matter activist, some type of black activist. Let's just say that, black person activist. She's fighting for black people, even though inadvertently she's harming black people by trying to fight with them with these weird talking points. She basically just makes, she makes black people think of like less of themselves, if you ask me. That's what she does, specifically her. Now, with that being said, If you enjoyed this video, my name is Jay Daddy. Like and subscribe. Peace.